What if the greatest threat to our world isn't a virus or nuclear war, but an illusion so convincing that every eye on Earth believes it is real? What if across every continent, every faith, and every culture, people see their most sacred figure dancing through the clouds, only to discover that what they witnessed was nothing but a carefully engineered lie? This is the story of Project Blue Beam, a conspiracy theory born in the mind of one man and spread through whispers of secret societies and rumors of advanced technology. Serge Monast was not always a conspiracist. Born in Quebec in 1945, he began his career writing poems and essays, covering politics for local newspapers, and exploring the fringes of social credit theory. In the early 1990s, after founding the International Free Press Agency, Monast turned his attention to a far darker subject, the New World Order. Inspired by the naval intelligence officer William Guy Carr, he believed that unseen masters were pulling strings behind world events. Monast's book, Project Blue Beam, NASA, published in the mid-1990s, claimed that NASA itself would spearhead a series of events so terrifying and so breathtaking that every human being would kneel before a single, unified deity. Monast first predicted the plan's enactment in 1983. When nothing happened, he reset his clock to 1995, then to 1996, and finally to the year 2000. His followers shrugged off each failure of timing, arguing that the conspirators had only delayed their timetable, not abandoned it. Despite these missed deadlines, Monast spoke at UFO conventions and on the TV show Esoterism Experimental, cultivating a small but fervent audience that believed the plan was ongoing, hidden in every piece of advanced technology. At the heart of Project Blue Beam are 4 stages of psychological warfare. The first stage involves engineered archaeology. Monast claimed that under the guise of new seismic research, secret weapons would trigger earthquakes at ancient sites around the world. Out of the crumbled ruins, newly discovered artifacts, fake relics designed to rewrite human history, would surface. According to Monast, these findings would discredit every major religion, idols would be exposed as frauds, sacred texts would be recast as errors, and millions of believers would lose their spiritual foundation overnight. Hollywood had already prepared us for such revelations, Monast argued. Films like 2001: A Space Odyssey and Indiana Jones had conditioned audiences to expect that buried mysteries would upend everything we thought we knew about ourselves. The second stage is the piece de resistance, a global holographic spectacle. Imagine satellites and ground-based laser platforms working in unison to project three-dimensional images across the sky. In Jerusalem, worshippers would see the Jewish Messiah. In Mecca, pilgrims would witness the voice of Allah ringing out from the heavens. In Rome, the figure of Christ would float above the Vatican. Then, in an act of cosmic unity, all these deities would merge into one, forming what Monast called the electronic Antichrist. He claimed that Soviet computing power would weave complex, personalized illusions tailored to each individual's brainwave patterns, ensuring that the apparition felt as real as your own heartbeat. In this moment of shared astonishment and terror, the stage would be set for the ultimate power grab. The world would cry out for salvation, and a single, centralized authority would answer. Stage 3 amplifies the assault from spectacle to subversion, tele-electro brainwashing. Monast described satellites emitting extremely low-frequency radio waves that could communicate directly with the human brain. These ELF transmissions, he said, would carry voices, messages from the new deity, speaking personally to each listener. Dismissive skeptics, Monast warned, would be caught off guard when the Messiah spoke in their minds at night, giving them no time to resist. Although mainstream science regards this as fantasy, experiments like the so-called microwave auditory effect lend a chilling hint of plausibility. In documented tests, subjects have reported hearing voices simulated by directed radio waves. Monast seized on these fringe findings to claim that perfectly targeted neural messaging was within reach of shadowy government agencies. The fourth and final stage is a 3-part crescendo of engineered panic. First, a propaganda blitz overwhelms every news outlet and social feed with reports of an alien invasion. Doctored footage, staged eyewitnesses, and fake testimonials fueling mass terror. Next, a secret ground-based machine will simulate a rapture, lifting chosen individuals into the sky in a live-streamed spectacle that convinces millions Scripture has come to pass. Finally, every modern device, from TVs to smart appliances, will simultaneously display grotesque visions, crimson skies, demonic faces, and cosmic symbols. Monast warned that this synchronized assault would shatter social cohesion, driving terrified populations to beg for a guiding hand. At that desperate moment, the New World Order would emerge, offering peace and unity, on its own terms. Monast died suddenly of a heart attack in December 1996, shortly after his final public lecture. His followers insist he was silenced for getting too close to the truth. Skeptics call him a delusional alarmist. Regardless, the myth of Project Bluebeam refuses to fade. On YouTube channels, late-night podcasts, and internet forums, believers point to real-world analogs, government patents for weather control lasers, military research into neural weapons, and even the rise of immersive AR and VR technologies. They argue that if HoloLens and large-scale concert holograms are real, a skywide projection is only a matter of scale. If targeted audio transmissions exist, perfectly precise brain-to-brain broadcasts are not far behind. Critics, however, highlight the unparalleled technical challenges, the immense energy required for large-scale atmospheric holography, the difficulty of producing true 360-degree projections visible from multiple angles and locations, and the near impossibility of mapping and manipulating the unique electrical patterns of every individual brain. They argue that coordinating such an operation on a global scale would require not only unprecedented technological power but also flawless timing and control over mass perception. Furthermore, they note that widespread panic is far less predictable than Monast suggested. Modern audiences tend to question sudden miracles more than they fear routine disasters. And while exotic technologies like HARP, directed energy weapons, or high-altitude laser systems often stir public fascination, there remains no verifiable evidence that any of them can generate Monast's claimed engineered earthquakes or mind control satellites. Nevertheless, Project Bluebeam endures as a modern myth, reflecting our deep anxieties about technology and power. It warns us that our tools can be turned against us in ways we scarcely understand, and that the lines between reality and illusion blur ever more as our digital world grows more immersive. Whether you dismiss it as fringe fantasy or heed it as a dire prophecy, the theory challenges us to consider how much of what we accept as real is shaped by narratives crafted by forces beyond our view. As we close this chapter on Serge Monast and his grand conspiracy, one truth remains: every age has its stories, its fears, and its prophets. In the space between skepticism and belief, we find our own reflections, our hopes, our doubts, and our unending search for meaning in a world increasingly defined by screens, satellites, and data streams. Could Project Bluebeam truly have been a clandestine roadmap for total global control, or is it nothing more than an inventive parable, warning us of the darker side of our own technological ambitions? I want to hear your take. Drop your theories and questions in the comments below, and let's unravel this mystery together. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss future journeys into the paranormal, the conspiratorial, and the unexplained. Until next time on the Late Night Hour, stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep watching the skies.